Hey everyone, welcome back to Alf's Mustang Garage. Today's a very exciting day. We're finally to the point of our 66 fastback Mustang doing the 289 conversion from a 6-cylinder. Today we're going to go through the steps necessary to do a first-time startup. So a lot has happened. We probably skipped over a lot of little things involved when getting, the whole engine together and everything. But we are here now. We're going to go through, some steps. We added some power steering to it. We're going to purge that system. We're going to purge the radiator before we just turn a key on and start it. We're going to cover the oil that we use and, kind of like the little things that I do whenever I do a first-time startup. So, with that being said, let's get started. We're gonna do the cooling system purge first. All right, so if you haven't had a chance yet and you want to support us and the channel, the little things go a long way. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell. If you like the videos, give us a thumbs up. Those little things do go a long ways when it comes to helping us to make more videos, which are hopefully helpful for you guys. So when you have like a freshly rebuilt engine, no matter what engine you're working on, that engine is going to be full of air in the cooling system. So filling up the radiator and then just turning the key is typically not the best thing, because you're going to get cavitation in the water pump. It's not going to be pumping through, and typically it'll end up in an eruption of coolant coming out the top of the radiator. So what I like to do, and I understand that not everybody has this ability, but I have a radiator purge machine that I connect to the upper radiator hose here, and it just kind of like has its own pump, and it just circulates coolant throughout the entire system. I'll do this for a good 20 to 30 minutes and allow all the air to be purged out. So these systems are kind of cool. I understand that if you're trying to do this at home, you're probably not going to have something like this. So something that you probably could do though is maybe somehow rig up like a homemade radiator hose and attach it to something that you can kind of attach almost like a universal electric washer fluid pump or something to that effect, and that could potentially be a way to recreate this. Or the other alternative is take it to a shop. They can if they have such a machine like that, they could probably help you out with it. Okay, so I'm going to disconnect the upper radiator hose like that. Return line on there, and then the return line is just going to get looped right back in the machine. We fill the machine full of coolant. We mix it all up, so I got a good mixture, and it just kind of like loops within itself, and all the air just kind of naturally gets pumped out of it. So okay, now that we've filled our machine, we just need to connect our little power cables to the car's battery and turn it on. So this should work pretty good. Now we can at the same time kind of monitor for any leaks that there may be in the system. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. So it's perfectly fine to find a leak now before, you know, you make a big mess with a hot engine. I'm gonna let this kind of do its thing for a good 20-30 minutes. Okay, so that's hooked up and going. This was just kind of pumping antifreeze in until antifreeze started coming out. So I'm just gonna let that kind of do its thing. And in the meantime, I've put the car up on jack stands and got the front wheels off the ground. So that way I can fill my power steering reservoir here. We've converted to a Borgenson system. This has a what they call a Saginaw power steering pump. So we can just kind of use like generic, just kind of power steering fluid, and that should work. Okay, so what we do on power steering systems is we like to fill the reservoir, and then we like to, you know, work the wheels back and forth and try to purge some of this fluid throughout the system. And furthermore, once we actually start the engine, we don't want the resistance of the weight of the car on the wheels, so when we do turn, it kind of like will be nice and easy on the system and kind of work any remaining air that's still in there, kind of work it out without having the stress of the weight of the car on the wheels. So okay, so it's important to not fill this to the brim, because as you work it, you know, the fluid will kind of like rise and fall a little bit as it like drops down. So you don't want to like make a huge mess. So like only fill the reservoir like maybe halfway or something. Just kind of back and forth. Kind of watch our system here. And we'll do that several times until we feel like she's, you know, at least good enough to kind of have the engine take over on the pump. Okay, now that we have our power steering system, you know, purged enough and ready to go, don't forget to add some engine oil. We like to advocate for this driven racing oil, the BR40 conventional 10W40 break-in oil with high zinc. You know, the ZDDP for the, you know, flat tappet camshaft is like crucial. This is the best stuff that we have found so far and trusted by a lot of engine builders. So that's what we're gonna be putting in this, and of course we're gonna put a, you know, fresh oil filter on it as well. Okay, so in our case we also have a brand new transmission that we need to put some oil in, so let's not forget that. We only use genuine Motorcraft Type F transmission fluid for your, you know, stock C4 transmissions. You know, the C6s will do the same, but yeah, we only advocate for Motorcraft. There are generic brands, they're not nearly as good. So if you're filling a dry transmission, if you did catch a previous video when we installed the transmission, we did prime the torque converter. It's entirely possible that a lot of that had drained back into the pan. So the pans on the transmissions of these are very shallow. Usually I can only get 3 quarts in at a time before I have to like start the engine in neutral. You want to start these in neutral to get the transmission to start pumping fluid through. Maybe only 5-10 seconds, shut it off, and then you know, put some more transmission fluid in. So we have our radiator purged. We have, engine oil in. I've added a little bit of trans fluid. I've purged the power steering system. What I have now that I like to do for a first time startup, I like to have my vacuum gauge connected to manifold vacuum. I have an oil pressure gauge connected all the way down here to where the oil pressure sending unit goes, so I can monitor that during the startup process. I have my timing light set up right here, and I have my voltmeter so I can check the alternator charging, all while we start this. So those are all the things that I like to do to have staged, in place, ready to go. So, are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay, here we go. So one key thing, if you're doing like a trans or, you know, fresh rebuild on a trans, which we are, start them in neutral, because then it like that actually engages the pump on those to get things circulating. Okay, check trans. Still reads full. Let's crank some more. Okay. Okay. Trans is definitely starting to come down.
Cool.
So that's a good thing. It's like circulating. So let's do another good 10-second crank. Battery's starting to get tired.
Yeah, we might want to put my little jump boxes in the system.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna add some trans fluid. Let's get your jumper. Yeah, it's definitely got oil pressure, so that's good. Or I gotta suck that trans fluid down until it's going faster. Ain't got no gas in it. Okay, so what we're doing is, you know, we're having a hard time with the fuel. So we're gonna use a hand vacuum pump to put on the fuel line down here where it goes into the pump, and just kind of like hand vacuum the air out of the fuel line and get the fuel kind of primed. So, all right, let her go. Building anything?
No.
There it is. You can hear it.
I didn't need to hear it. It came up like the tube.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, quick.
It's like fast, huh?
Yep. Well, that's why I had all that long extra tube on there.
Okay. There we go. Okay, so now we got the fuel system kind of primed up to the fuel pump, so it shouldn't be much before we get fuel in the bowl of this carburetor. What we're doing is kind of like a tricky thing, because we're trying to like fill the transmission safely, but also like break in a new engine with a flat tappet cam. Now, when you do a flat tappet cam break-in, or you know, most engine break-ins, you want to like get the RPMs of the engine up as soon as it starts. That way you can kind of like start to get things nice and oiled and lubricated, and you can properly break in a cam. It's more crucial on a flat tappet camshaft, which is what we're using here. So, but it's kind of challenging because I can't like run the transmission without any oil in it, but I also can't like just dump all 10 quarts in it because it's just going to flow out the overflow. So that's kind of like the issue. So we're going to like start it maybe for 10 seconds and then just have to shut it down. That's just kind of like, you know, the process we're just gonna have to do. So so this thing should like fire up now here, I think. So okay, Justin, hold on. Okay, go for it. Okay, let me check here. Not yet. Okay, let's do it again.
Jump box turned off.
Did it?
Or it's dead, yeah.
Okay. Can't imagine it would take much longer to get the fuel from the pump to the carburetor. It's just still not quite there. Okay, hit it. Hit it. Okay.
Make sure you transfer it first.
Didn't run for too long. Okay, I'm gonna fill this. You wanna hop out and check the power steering?
Yeah. I guess I can do something.
Cause it sounded like a, you know what I mean? It sounded awful. Like maybe power steering just instantly ran dry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Alright, yes. I think I'm gonna like crank a little idle here on it. Give it a little bit more. Ready?
Are you watching oil pressure?
I'll stand over here this time. Okay.
Neutral safety switch. If you haven't.
Very good. Very good. Sounds better. It's part of those power steering systems, like even though you work it back and forth a crap ton,
No, it still does it.
it's still, yeah,
Especially a drain system.
yeah, it'll work itself out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another quart for the trans. I'm ready.
That killed it itself.
It killed itself.
Mm-hmm. Because it was partially in drive to get it started. So that was.
Kind of lurched a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what killed it. It
Oh.
started to die, and I pushed it up further into neutral.
So we gotta adjust that neutral safety. Tiny bit.
Yeah.
Keep your foot on the brake pedal.
It is. Always.
Yeah. Okay, put some more trans fluid in.
Ready?
Ready. Trying to heat things up now.
Was it reading out of dead state?
Yeah, it was. Which kind of surprised me, but I guess you kind of put a lot in the torque converter.
3 quarters.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it might be 10 quarts almost.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's set up a fan and run this sucker. Okay, now that I got my trans to like be full, so where it's safe to run, I'm gonna like start this. I'm gonna mark the time and try and get a good 30 minutes out of her unless I see something alarming and I have to abandon ship. That's like something to kind of keep in mind, is if you see something happening that shouldn't be happening, like an overheating issue or something to that effect, or fuel leak, it's best to just abandon ship and can always like pick it back up. It's always safer to shut it off and, you know, pick up the break-in after you fix the issue. So, so yeah, we're gonna run her. I'm gonna probably set the RPMs up to about 2,500. My timing light will display my RPM on there. So, okay, let her rip.
Park or neutral?
Keep it in neutral.
Yeah.
Okay, so just in case I did not kind of cover, you know, all the things that I kind of like do to start these cars up for the first time, I'm going to kind of go over it again. So there's a lot of things going on with this particular car. You know, every car that you're doing might be a little different. So, but in terms of the engine, once I kind of get this thing up, like I'm checking the timing, like I want to make sure my timing is at least like set to where it's going to safely run. I don't want it over-timed. I don't want it under-timed, you know, because you're going to have these RPMs up and going, so your advancement is going to be kicking in. So I'm watching for stuff like that, and I'll kind of tweak the distributor. I actually monitor, you know, the temperature. I have like a little thermal gun. We actually have like an infrared version of this, but this is kind of like something that can be picked up for relatively cheap at your local parts stores. And I'll kind of like, you know, monitor the intake manifold and the thermostat, and I'll monitor the top of the radiator. we put an electric fan on this, so I was making sure, you know, that was kicking on and all that kind of stuff. So, but I hope all that kind of makes sense. This particular car, we had a lot going on, you know, with an upgraded alternator, checking that, upgraded power steering, the electric fan, all the things, new transmission. So, with that being said, this engine has now run for its initial break-in of 30 minutes, okay? So what we've done now is we've drained the oil, we've changed the filter, we now have a fresh round of break-in oil again. You want to dump that initial oil out because you get a lot of metal coming off the cam, coming off the bearings, and it's going to come out kind of shimmery, and that's okay because that's like your initial break-in stuff. And now we're going to put another round of break-in oil in, and we're going to run that for, you know, the 500 mile, you know, break-in period, and then we'll, you know, exchange that out down the road. So with that being said, let's start this up and see how it sounds. Okay, this is a cold start. This engine has sat overnight. It is now cold, so we're going to see if I have my choke settings set right. If you're not familiar with how those work, it's all under spring tension. So right now the choke's open because it was wide open when it was running last. But because it's under spring tension, it's going to stay open until you release the spring tension. So as soon as you throttle it, the choke will close. And that's why we have to press on the throttle at least one time to get these to start. Let's see how good this initial tune is. There's always going to be some fine tuning that I'm going to have to do to come back to, but let's see how she starts. Okay, well, I think I got her dialed in at least close enough to where we can kind of, you know, keep moving forward on this project. I mean, in all retrospect, as far as converting, I mean, she's there. I mean, we're test driving. We're doing lots of other stuff on this car. We're doing some paint correction and things like that. And I got a whole interior that I got to put in this car. But, yeah, she's running. She sounds great. We're going to continue to monitor this. I might do a video on kind of tuning things, and that's a whole nother ball game when it comes to tuning your carburetor and tuning your timing to get these things to do what they're supposed to do. So I might do something like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, this car is going to be awesome. I can't wait to put it on the road and drive it. I'll definitely do a drive video on it once we're there. I got to interior it and I gotta get paint corrected. But initially, yeah, this is fantastic. This is a huge win. This is a huge success. I hope that you've enjoyed the series if you've been following along. And I'm not sure what's next. We got some stuff in the works that I'm not sure what I'm going to film. I can't film everything, but maybe I'll give you a little preview. What do we got going on here? I got a 69 Mach 1. We're about to start. We're going to start on that project. It's a big project. So she's going to get stripped all the way down. So there's a little preview. What's next? So anyways, hope you've been enjoying the videos. I appreciate all the little things, the likes, the subscribes, the comments. For the most part, it's pretty positive. It's pretty nice to see. But yeah, we appreciate your support. So we hope you continue to follow along. If you're not following along, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Those little things go a long way when it comes to helping us to make more videos, which are hopefully at least maybe cool. I don't know. So, okay. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys.